The next flight Starship is ready to fly. We are waiting for regulatory approval.
Yeah.
It really should not be possible to build a giant rocket faster than the paper can move from one desk to another.
Elon Musk recently voiced his frustration after the FAA delayed the launch date of Starship Flight 5, calling attention to a growing challenge. Naturally, both SpaceX and Musk have expressed strong reactions to this decision, raising questions about the regulatory hurdles facing their ambitious space endeavors. On the brighter side, the Polaris Dawn mission continues to make significant progress, pushing the boundaries of space exploration without a hitch. There's plenty of hot news to dive into, so let's break it all down on today's episode of Great SpaceX. It's been more than 3 months since Starship Flight 4 in June, and the world is still waiting for Starship to take off once again and make history. Various launch dates have been discussed, with September being a key estimate mentioned by the FAA. In an earlier episode, we even talked about an unofficially leaked date of October 3rd, but unfortunately, all of those predictions have been rendered false. In a recent update, SpaceX revealed a frustrating delay. On their homepage, they announced, "We recently received a launch license date estimate of late November from the FAA, the government agency responsible for licensing Starship flight tests. This is a more than 2-month delay to the previously communicated date of mid-September." This delay is quite shocking. What is the FAA doing? With no clear investigation into any mishaps from Flight 4, the question becomes, why the long wait? Before diving deeper into the reasons behind the delay, let's first consider what this new timeline really means. According to SpaceX, the 2-month postponement is going to severely impact their progress. In their announcement, they mentioned the Starship and Super Heavy vehicles for Flight 5 have been ready to launch since the first week of August. However, with the new November schedule, the turnaround between flights will now stretch to 5 months. This is a much longer gap than any previous Starship flights except for the period between Flight 1 and Flight 2. With no major safety investigations in sight, why has everything ground to a halt? Kelvin Coleman, an FAA official, attempted to explain the situation. Missions change. Technologies on the vehicles change, which require a modification to the license. It is the company that is pushing mission-by-mission approvals. That's what the pace is about. He also cited the FAA's heavy workload, pointing out that the rapid pace of Falcon 9 launches has stretched their resources thin, slowing the approval process for Starship. Essentially, the FAA seems to be saying that SpaceX's own speed and innovation are partly to blame for the delays. In response to this bureaucratic bottleneck, SpaceX has not held back their frustration. They made it clear that Flight 5 will be a groundbreaking event in the history of rocketry. SpaceX engineers have spent years preparing and months testing for the booster catch attempt, with technicians pouring tens of thousands of hours into building the infrastructure to maximize our chances for success, the company said. They emphasized that every test carries risks, especially when attempting something that has never been done before. Yet, while SpaceX is fully prepared to accept risks to their own hardware, they stressed that public safety remains a top priority on every flight. However, SpaceX's criticism didn't end there. In a sharp rebuke of the FAA's delay, they commented, "It's understandable that such a unique operation would require additional time to analyze from a licensing perspective. Instead of focusing resources on critical safety analysis and collaborating on rational safeguards to protect both the public and the environment, the licensing process has been repeatedly derailed by issues ranging from the frivolous to the patently absurd." According to SpaceX, some of the holdups are based on misleading reports and bad faith complaints from special interest groups, often built on faulty science. To make matters worse, SpaceX emphasized that the most recent delay, pushing the launch window to November, was not based on any new safety concerns. Instead, the setback is a result of superfluous environmental analysis. The company clearly sees these added hurdles as unnecessary, especially since their engineers and hardware have been ready for months. In addition to the homepage announcement, SpaceX took to social media, tweeting, "Starship's fully and rapidly reusable design will exponentially increase humanity's ability to access and utilize outer space. To unlock its full potential and do it rapidly enough to meet commitments to national priorities like NASA's Artemis program, starships need to fly." The tweet underlined how essential Starship is to space exploration and why these delays are so detrimental to their broader mission. It's clear that SpaceX is running out of patience with the FAA's slow approval process. Musk, as expected, has also weighed in on the issue. He shared SpaceX's tweet, adding, "Very important. In response to a tweet from journalist Christian Davenport that highlighted SpaceX's detailed frustrations, Musk replied, "Absolutely, it's ridiculous." Musk also voiced his growing concerns, stating bluntly, "We will never get humanity to Mars if this continues." His message is clear. The bureaucratic delays are threatening the grand vision of interplanetary exploration. In their update, SpaceX also addressed some of the recent controversies, such as the issue with their water-cooled steel flame deflector. This has been the subject of inaccurate reports alleging environmental pollution. SpaceX firmly rejected these claims, stating, "At no time did SpaceX operate the deflector without a permit. Again, it uses literal drinking water." They emphasized their compliance with regulations and listed the work they've done with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or TSEC for short, to minimize environmental impacts. The company reiterated that the system does not spray pollutants into the environment, a fact confirmed by both TSEC and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The update went on to describe the environmental and safety measures SpaceX has taken at Starbase. The company explained that while environmental regulations serve a valuable purpose, the drawn-out licensing process is causing unreasonable delays. SpaceX noted that the FAA approved a 60-day consultation with the National Marine Fisheries Service to examine potential impacts on wildlife. However, they pointed out that this process can be reset over and over again if new questions are raised, further delaying the launch. The frustrating part, Flight 5 is scheduled for a time outside the nesting season for wildlife in the Boca Chica area, meaning any concerns should have been resolved by now. At the end of the update, SpaceX emphasized the urgent need for faster progress, not just for their own company, but for the country's broader space ambitions, particularly in relation to NASA's Artemis program. They noted, "Unfortunately, we continue to be stuck in a reality where it takes longer to do the government paperwork to license a rocket launch than it does to design and build the actual hardware. This should never happen and directly threatens America's position as the leader in space." To conclude, SpaceX promised to keep working hard to minimize their environmental impact and overcome the barriers slowing their progress. They made it clear that despite the delays and challenges, their commitment to developing Starship remains unwavering. What do you think about all this? Is it finally time for the barriers to Starship's development to be removed? If you agree, reply yes in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to our channel for the latest updates on SpaceX's journey into the future of space exploration. Wrapping up the Starship Flight 5 update, let's shift our focus to Polaris Dawn, the mission that showcases SpaceX's dominance in space exploration. After much anticipation, Polaris Dawn successfully launched at 5:23 a.m. EDT on September 10th from Florida. The mission has been met with widespread excitement and positive reactions. Musk personally congratulated the team on their success, and SpaceX added, "Missions like Polaris Dawn help advance the development of the technologies necessary to enable a more exciting future." The mission's progress has been consistently updated by both the SpaceX and Polaris Dawn pages. At the time of this update, SpaceX announced Achievement Unlock, apogee 1,400.7 kilometers, forward bulkhead Draco firing during burn. Elon Musk also highlighted the significance of this milestone, remarking, "Dragon astronauts are now further from Earth than any humans in over half a century." The Polaris team provided a summary of the mission's first day. After just 2 hours post-launch, the crew enjoyed their first meal in orbit and began conducting scientific research, including testing the Starlink system. Dragon also passed through the South Atlantic Anomaly, or SAA, an area where Earth's magnetic field is weaker, which requires careful monitoring of the spacecraft's systems. During the first day of the mission, the crew had their first sleep in space and prepared for upcoming burns that would raise the spacecraft's altitude. Dragon reached 1,215 kilometers on flight day 1 and was on track to achieve a 190 by 1,400 kilometer elliptical orbit by the start of flight day 2. Preparations were also underway for the spacewalk on September 12th, with the team practicing breathing protocols, pressure regulation, and bloodstream air control. Everything on Polaris Dawn is progressing smoothly, and we will keep you updated on its developments, so stay tuned for more. Well, folks, that's about it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, this has been Kevin from Great SpaceX. Until next time, keep looking up.